So just like on the other chapters, we have our labeled examples. So received cash from owner as investment. We've got an example of how we would journalize that transaction. We've got an example for paid cash for supplies. And that's all we're doing on this section is two transactions. Okay, so now starting on the work together, we're not doing anything with the on your own yet. We're only going to be on the work togethers. So we've got the name of our accounts. So these are the account titles that we're going to use on our journal. And we have our transaction. So journalize each transaction. Save your work to complete work together 3.2. See on the worksheet, it's for everything in the chapter. So our first one says April 1st, received cash from owner as an investment, $1,500. And this R1 is our document source, our document number. So I'm going to start here, April 1st. Focuses. So in the date, April 1st. So then if you go to the example, received cash from owner as an investment. So the example says Kim Park Capital. Well, we're not using that name. We're using the one that's in our account titles. So we've got Norm Derner Capital. So that goes here. Norm Derner Capital. Next one over is our document number. So on the transaction, our document number is R1. So R1 goes here. And now we've got 5 different columns. We have a section for our general category, a debit and credit. We have a sales section, and we have a cash section. So the owner invested $1,500. So looking at the example, we're going to put $1,500 in general credit. Like that. So kind of points something out, as a reminder, the last 2 chapters, whenever there's a debit or a credit entry, there's going to be an opposite entry. So if we entered $1,500 in credit here, we're going to go to cash, and we're going to put that under debit.
Do you have to put that slash there, or did you just do it?
No, you don't have to. You can put zeros in there, or you can put the slash. It's just how I do it. It depends on whatever your style is. I just put the dash in there as it's easier to write than 2 zeros. But you have to have something in that box to indicate there's no change amount. Okay, so just like the example, The steps they did in the example were a little bit different than what I did. That's okay. So now I'm going to go to the next example on April 2nd. Paid cash for supplies, $375, and our document source was C1. That C stands for check. So I'll put our date. We already have April on there, so I don't need to write that. See, our account title is going to be supplies. So you see that up here, supplies. So we'll put supplies. Our document number was C1. And then, let's see, our amount was $375. So our $375 is going to go under debit. In the general column, then down here in the cash section, it's going to go under credit. Like that. So you can see our example for supplies, debit, and credit. So that takes care of 3-1. Oh, go back. You can see they even have a T chart, a T account in here. Show your increase in supplies, your decrease in cash. And so your supplies increase. And that's on the debit side. So it went in the debit side on the general. Your cash decrease went under credit. Okay, so now on to section 2. We're going to pay some cash for insurance. We're going to buy supplies on account. We're going to pay some cash on account. Yeah, so now we're on page 66. So April 5th, bought supplies on account from Palm Supply for $500. So April 5th, so I'll put a 5 in here. Supplies on account. So we'll find our example. You can see we're going to have 2 entries for this because we're going to have an entry for our supplies, then an entry for our accounts payable. Because when you buy stuff on account, you have to pay it back. So we'll have supplies. Let's see how much that was. It's $500. So our supplies is going to go into the debit column. And since it's on an account, we're not going to journalize anything over here. We're just going to put it in the general section. So we're going to add a line for accounts payable. This guy's name was Palm Supply. It was $500, so we have to have an equal balancing entry. So we'll put his amount for the accounts payable in the credit column. And we've got to see what the document number is. M1 for memorandum.
Excuse me, Mr. Crump. Can we get this coffee cup in here?
I don't know. Is it yours?
Yes.
There you go.
This is my coffee cup. Unless it's like last year.
So I'll put M1 in both of those spots for our document number. And the book shows nothing here for Palm Supply for a document number, but it doesn't matter. So you can leave it blank or put M1. Okay, so there's for our buying on account. And remember to always have when you have an accounts payable or an accounts receivable, to make sure you put the AP or AR on there. So now on the 7th, we paid cash for insurance. Go back to our example. Paid cash for insurance, so we're going to have a line for prepaid insurance. See how much it was. $300 in C2. So our document number is C2, and it's $300. You can see we're going to have a debit under general and a credit under cash. Like that. So there's a wrap for that transaction. And then that gets us to our third one for this section. Paid cash on account to Palm Supply. So that happened on the 9th. We're going to have 2 entries for that one. Oh, yeah, just 1 entry, sorry. 1 entry. So we've got our paid cash on account. It was on the back side of that page. So that's an accounts payable to Palm Supply. See how much it was. I think it was $250. Yep. So this is C3, check number 3. And we're going to have 250 entry in the debit column, then the same amount, 250, over here in our cash credit. Like that. Okay. So far, so good. Everybody's got this. All right, so now we'll go to section 3. Going to receive some cash for sales. Sell something on account, pay cash for an expense, paid cash to owner. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transactions on this page. So on April 12th, paid cash for rent. 12th. We'll go ahead and write a couple of these things down. C4 is $1,000. So rent's an expense. So on the example, we've got a rent expense, utilities expense. Oh yeah, rent expense right here. So rent expense was $1,000. So we're going to have $1,000 under our general debit and our cash credit. That. Okay, so our next one, receive cash from sales. So that happened on the 13th. Our document number is T13. Our amount's $2,500. So just find the example, receive cash from sales. It's on the very first page of this section. Now when we have cash, we don't have to put any account title in here. All we're going to do is put in a check mark for cash. So just a check mark. And for our posting reference, we're going to go ahead and fill that one in too as a check mark. So now we've got an entry in our sales credit. And we're going to have the same type of entry in our cash debit. So we're still in the credit and debit, but now we're going to be on sales credit. That was $2,500. $2,500 there and $2,500 here. Now let's see what's next. I think we just have 2 more. 3 more. Paid cash for an electric bill on the 19th. So we paid cash for an electric bill.
Skip one.
Did I skip one?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sold services on account, 14th. Thanks. I think I've done that before on these. Okay, sold services on account. I'll go ahead and fill in S1. That's $510. Okay, sold services on account. So that's going to be an accounts receivable, because that's money that we're supposed to receive. Somebody named Roe, R-O-H-E. It was $510. So once again, we're going to have a sales credit, but then we're also going to go ahead and put that in the general debit. So our general debit of $510, and then our sales credit $510. That's an S. Now I think I can do the rent expense. Cash, the electric expense. Okay, on the 19th, paid cash for an electric bill. So that's going to be, that's an expense. So we're going to do that one just the same way that we did the rent expense. So the 19th. Let's see if we have electric bill. We'll just put electric expense or utility expense. Either one's fine. Put a utility expense. That's check number 5. Our amount is $148. So just like rent expense, we're going to have $148 here in the general debit. Then we're going to have $148 down here in cash credit. Like that. Now we're April 20th. Received cash on account from this row person, 255. So I'll fill in the date, the 20th. Received cash on account. So we're going to have a general credit and a cash debit. Let's see. Actually, probably go ahead and write AR row, because we got to we received the cash, so it's an account receivable. R2. It's 255. So now we're going to have a credit, general credit entry of 255. Then we're going to have a cash debit of $255. Okay. That gets us to the last one. On the 21st, paid cash to owner. Check number 6, C6. $1,000. So on page 71, paid cash to owner for personal use. So I remember this guy's name is Norm Derner. And whenever the owner takes cash out, that's going to be on a drawing account. When we get to ledgers, we'll have a different account for drawing, and you'll see that. Derner drawing. And a general debit and a cash credit. $1,000. Okay. We're almost to the end. So now what we're going to do in this section is we're going to end up taking our totals from these columns to the back side of the page, and then we're going to do a couple more entries. So in step 1, we're going to journalize the entries for the 23rd and the 27th. So we're only going to do 2 more entries, then we're going to move to the back side of the page. So the 23rd, sold services on account. So that's accounts receivable. This row. That's S2. Okay, so on the 14th, we sold services on account to the 14th to the same person. So we're going to have a sales entry and a general debit entry. That's $375. Then we'll do our last one here before we move further. So now on the 27th, we paid cash to owner for personal use. 27th, it's a drawing account. Check number 7. See what the amount was for, $500. So just like on this drawing, we're going to put 500 in general debit, and then 500 in cash credit. So now how we're going to finish up this section. So on step 2, it says proven rule, page 1 of the journal. Carry the columns towards forward to page 2 of the journal. So here, ruling a journal page. And at the bottom, instead of writing, we're not going to write totals, we're going to write carried forward. That means we're moving it from one page to another. Carried forward. Then we're going to kind of draw a line here. Now all we're going to do here is we're just going to add up all of these columns. See, already. So at 49.58. Yeah, I didn't add something up. I think I did. Okay. So hopefully, I know some of you adding this stuff up. Hopefully it came to the right totals. Which one? Which? This one?
I got 58.
You got
I
48?
got 49.58.
Here, wait, go down. I might have missed like a number or something.
Yeah, I make mistakes too, so let me try this again. 375 plus 500 plus 300 plus 250 plus 1,000. $49.58.
I guess I did something wrong.
Might have been this 510.
Maybe.
You add all of those in that column.
Yeah, just total up each column.
If you look a little bit to the left. Yeah, can you like go up? Like you even add up to like 375, or 3,750 from the first transaction. I mean from the first entry. Second entry. So do, yeah.